Subscribe to Get Curried and click on the bell icon for more updates.
Everyone should have a really easy and delicious cake recipe in their repertoire. And today that's exactly the recipe I'm going to share with you. We're going to make an easy sponge cake. And no, it doesn't matter if you don't have an oven because we're going to make it in a pan on the gas. I'm going to start the recipe with adding some oil to a heavy bottom pan. Add about 3 to 4 tablespoons of just any flavorless oil. And put this on a really low flame on a gas or induction, stovetop, whatever it is that you're using. And just cover this up and let this pan preheat while we move on to making the cake. I'm going to use a 6-inch round cake pan for this. And now it's very important that for a sponge cake, you grease the cake pan really well. So I'm using butter to grease not just the bottom but also the sides really well. I'm just going to put this piece of parchment paper right at the bottom and make sure that it's stuck really well. We're going to start with the dry ingredients. For this cake, I'm using 60 grams or half a cup of all-purpose flour. And to this, I'm going to add a quarter of a teaspoon of just regular table salt and half a teaspoon of baking powder. Make sure that this is a leveled teaspoon. Now, the most important thing for a sponge cake is to sift or sieve through the dry ingredients. We'll need to do this twice at this stage. So I'm going to start with the first round of sifting. Here I'm going to add the dry ingredients and just sift it through. Now I'm going to sift it for the second time. We're done sifting the dry ingredients. Now I'm going to move on to the next step, which is cracking open 2 eggs into this bowl. Now we're going to whisk these eggs till they really bulk up in volume and become nice and thick. We've whisked these for at least 5 minutes, and you can see when they start to form thick ribbons like this, that's when they're done. So now at this stage, just in batches, I'm going to add some caster sugar. This is about 80 grams of caster sugar, and I'll add it in about 2 to 3 batches. Add the second batch. Now the last batch. That's it. You can see just how beautiful and fluffy this mixture is. Now it's time to sift in, yes, sift in again our dry ingredients. Now I'm just going to fold in the dry ingredients very gently and carefully without losing all the air that I've beaten into the mixture. Now I'm going to add the next batch of dry ingredients and just make sure that it's folded in really well before we move on to adding the next batch of dry ingredients. Now I'm going to add the last batch of dry ingredients and just gently again sift them in. We're done with the dry ingredients, and now I'm going to add the vanilla extract and oil to the batter. It's 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We're going to add the oil. This is a quarter cup of flavorless oil. And now we can fold both of them together. So now the oil and vanilla extract are mixed really well into the batter. It's a beautiful fluffy batter. So now it's time to just pour it into this cake pan. Now very important that when you're pouring it, just take it all around the cake pan. We're not going to tap it or level it out. I'm just going to use this as a stand here. You can use any such stand. Just very gently lower it on top of this stand. Cover it and let it cook on a medium flame for about 30 to 40 minutes. As tempting as it is, please don't open the lid of the pan while the cake is baking, because unlike a regular oven, here the heat will escape every time you do that. But then, how will you be able to tell when the cake is done? Because it'll pull away from the sides, and when you see that, that's when you should insert a skewer right in the center, and if it comes out clean, the cake is ready. You can see that the cake has pulled away from the sides. I'm just going to insert this little skewer here very gently, and it's absolutely clean, which means the cake is done. I'm going to take it off the heat. Just leave it on a wire rack to cool down completely. It could take about 10 to 20 minutes. The cake has cooled down completely, so now it's time to turn it out into a plate. But before you do that, just take a knife and run it along the edges like this, just to make sure that it's loosened up completely from the sides. And then just invert it onto a plate. Now just very gently take off the parchment paper. One final touch just before cutting into the cake is to dust it lightly with icing sugar. You saw just how easy it was to bake this cake. So please try this recipe at home, especially if you don't have an oven or if you're scared of using a pressure cooker to bake a cake. If you like this video, which I'm very sure that you will, please share it with your friends, comment below, and of course, subscribe to Get Curried.